I know you guys are probably wanting to see us finish the motor, but we're waiting on parts. So until then, Lance has been working on some of the drivetrain.
I think we're rebuilding this transmission. Take a look. Take a look around, folks.
You can't see too much yet.
Devastation.
I'll pan. Back in 2019, we spent the year building out our schoolie. After the build was done, we sold our house and traveled for a full year. Following that year of travel, we started to crave building again and getting something 4x4. The transfer case, when we first got it, had a hole in it, which we didn't know. Thanks to the previous owner for telling us that. And then the transmission has been rebuilt by the previous owner, which means that we definitely want to look at that due to all of the things that we have found
incorrect.
Yes. So let's do a yesterday's recap because there wasn't much to film.
Come in close. Come. A little closer. Come. Let me show you what I did. So here is our new transfer case. This was a junkyard transfer case. Because I lowered the floor, we had a slight clearance issue. So as you can see, I just ground these down a little bit. I mean, there's no integrity taken away from it. We just needed it a little smaller. Took that apart yesterday. Took everything and cleaned it out and checked to make sure all the parts were in it, because we bought this as a core, meaning it's just like the case, but I guess it was just missing a sensor and everything else was in there, which is awesome. So I made sure all the parts are in there, made sure it's functional, resealed it, put it all back together, and that's good. And now the old transfer case here, sitting on top of the motor. So here's one half of it. And then here's the other half. And you can see here, I just tossed all the old parts in it. Here's where that hole was. So this is just JB Weld to get us up to Montana. That's how I had it. And it worked decent.
It worked enough.
Yeah,
but I mean, we're not doing anything enough on this van. We're getting it totally.
We want it perfect.
Yeah.
And now there wasn't any oil in, or like when I opened it, there was no oil in there even after a repair, so it slowly leaked out. But there wasn't any harsh wear on any of these parts that I could notice. So we could have definitely went back and used this, but the other transfer case was in much better condition, and rather than swapping the parts out of this one into that, just the case, I just used those parts and that case. So motors pulled apart, the pistons are off at the machine shop. Don't want to buy new rod ends, so we're just trying to get those machined. They're getting measured first to see if we even need to machine them, and that's a much cheaper option. It's $10 per side for those rod ends rather than $80 new. We've got some gaskets coming in for our oil cooler or heat exchanger, so we're gonna just put new gaskets on this because they're common to leak. And we got some new valves coming in because these valves are just cruddy and yucky and a little pitted. Other than that, we're waiting on the little ins and out parts like new sensors and hoses and things like that. But pretty much once we get this transmission pulled apart and it's either good or terrible, today we'll know whether I need to rebuild the transmission or if it's fine as it is. And if it's fine, we'll just button it back up, bolt the transfer case up to that.
My apologies, we were very rudely interrupted by dogs barking. Lance, do you want to continue? Or was that pretty much it?
That's pretty much it.
Have fun watching Lance work on stuff.
I love mechanic videos. They're also fun. Can you figure out how to take off this front? Do that. I need to make a tool to pull this stinky thing out. Fucker!
Do you want me to try to help you pick it up?
Yeah, you probably should do this side though. Look away for a second. I think we're rebuilding this transmission.
No.
Right there, they put magnets on the bottom of pans to catch flakes of like metal. Because especially new components will slowly shave off flakes, but that's a lot of flaking there.
That means that it was just like abrasion somewhere?
Yeah, look how weird that is. It's like a nano fluid. The thing is we didn't find any giant like parts. There's some little chunks like that. This is called your valve body here. So this basically has a bunch of tubes and springs, and your transmission fluid goes through here, and the pressure of it along with solenoids tell the transmission fluid which valves to push, and that's how gears get shifted. And what I'm gonna do here is we'll take this off, set this aside, and then we take that front cover, and then, because at least on Dodge transmissions you have to unbolt some stuff here and here to slide them out, so we'll see if that's the same with this. Right now this looks fine as far as like like my worry was this giant dent coming up here would hit something important here, and it didn't get deep enough to hit anything important. I like to show you peep steps. Here's how I got that top plate off. I just took a strap, and then there's 2 holes across from each other that have threads. All these here don't have threads, all those don't have threads, 2 threads. Now these are actually the bolts off of the transfer case. So I just threaded those in on my strap and then took it here and then just started ratcheting it, and it popped this cover right off. So that way you don't have to make a special tool, buy a special tool. I'm sure you have a ratchet strap laying around. Okay, I took out this giant dude here. As far as I'm concerned, it's the pump. Like I was showing you, I took the straps and just pulled it out. So this comes out as one unit. It has a center spline, like shaft through. I'm just gonna leave it in there for now. Now there's this little thing. So as I'm taking stuff out, I'm setting it back on exactly how it came out. Kind of like if you were to go through papers, you know, you take the paper, flip it over. So that way when you're done with all the papers, you can just take them and they're all in order still. That's what we're doing. We're taking this out and flipping it over. We're just trying to get any loose part out, thrust bearing. And again, so I'm just making sure everything's coming out right back upside down. So all this is looking good, but this should look good. This isn't the important stuff. Right back here are our papers and clutches, and that's what we're trying to get to. But here's a little O-ring. So now we have a giant snap ring here. Looks like we could just get a pick or a screwdriver in here and pop it up, and then we'll go around the ring and break that seal. Blast it down because this bed is yucky. Any new part coming out, I'd like to not drop on the yucky bed. Break clean there. So now this whole piece should come out, so we actually want to make sure we're not going to take out something that's going to cause everything to just fall. So this is going to be a steel here. We have one steel, and this is a paper. So this is pretty universal. So we have some damage to the paper there. Appears like we should be able to take this out, not have an issue. Okay, so there's planetary gears in there. There is a gear that can come out, so we want to make sure that doesn't fall out. I like to kind of take my fingers and see what can fall out. So there's a thrust bearing in there that can definitely fall out. We'll keep an eye on that, or we could just pull it out right now. There's some wear marks here, but those aren't bad at all. So we're gonna just take our papers and steels out. So how these go, paper, they're not actually paper, they just call them that. So these are like clutches that actually grab, and steel, making sure we don't have like a torn one or serious wear marks or anything like that. The other camera overheated, so it's in the fridge right now, going down. Pulled the steel out, and I'm just setting them down how they came out. Boop, boop, boop. I'm actually gonna just set these right back on top of this. So now we have another snap ring down in there, and then this whole assembly loose here. Okay, we had a thrust bearing come off. We have one in there. And so what I'm gonna do is just flip this over and set it on top of our other parts here. Okay, we got a couple screws there, but first, I don't know if I'm gonna keep digging into this because it's looking fine. Chances are I probably would have found some issue with it right there, and I'd hate to keep digging in for nothing, but we're here now. Okay, so down here, there's a little place where you can like put a screwdriver in or a pick on the giant snap ring, and I'm just getting it under there. So someone in the past came in here with some pry bars and guess couldn't get this out. There's a bunch of score and scratch marks. So what I just did there is I was able to press here back and it lifted that corner up. So I lifted it up with a screwdriver, got behind with a hook and pulled towards me. You should have been able to see me on the GoPro, but the audio quality wouldn't be as good. We got all the valve body off, which is sitting here. The gasket for the valve body does not look very healthy. It's pretty bubbled up and flaking off and breaking in certain areas. So we're gonna go ahead and get a new one, as well as a new oil filter, transmission oil filter. You wanna get a new one of these anyways. Oh, there was still a lot of oil in there. Anytime you take the oil pan off anyways, because you rarely take the oil pan off, and getting a new filter is always good, right? Just to ensure to ourselves that everything's good. So we took off 3 bolts over there. Now I'm seeing it appears like a gas or another snap ring of some sort right here, which I am not certain it is a snap ring. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm doing. We need to basically just figure out how to get this puppy out. So we're gonna take off this back cover here, and I'll show you how. Like that. Look at how the park works on this. This right here, so that's park. And then if I move that forward, now it can spin. And then park.
That's why it kind of has that little like gap every time you park, huh?
Because it has a bit of slop. I've seen about everything I'd like to see. I could keep digging in, but I don't want to. I think I'm just getting myself into more work than that's necessary. I can see through some ports here what's going on, and everything looks pretty good in my opinion. Putting stuff back together, I need to get another gasket for here, but there's all these check balls, and so I'm gonna put on the old gasket, hold everything in place for now, and then we will go get a new gasket, and I'll just pull that off and put on the new one. So this is the part that needs to be ordered in.
Because we're waiting on parts, and all of this stuff is extremely tedious, especially when you drop things.
Yeah, I just dropped this, and these check balls inside, that's what these are called. They're little plastic balls that are vital for a transmission, went flying. So I found those and got them back in their specific locations. Now I'm putting this snap ring on. That's a special snap ring. It's like an upgraded one to make sure it doesn't fall off. And it's a pain in the butt. We got all our new parts here. So we got new gaskets for our something plate. I forget what they call that. And then I had the guy, he cleaned it off and did a once over on everything. And then he went through and drilled out this hole, and this hole.
Because that's a tuning plate?
Yeah, this is called a tuning plate, I guess. And so this will make our shifts better.
It's crazy that just those tiny little things
I know, right?
mean something.
So that's supposed to make our shifts like shift at better points and all that. And apparently when you get this plate, you're supposed to do that. And so whoever did this transmission must have like overlooked it and didn't do that. And then he was the guy at the transmission, I think it's AA Transmissions here in Helena, Montana.
Yeah.
He was saying this part here is more than likely our problem. if we have like abrupt shifts or if it's searching for shifts. So it's actually a used oil pan, but new to us.
It looks better than that crunch.
It's not dented or anything.
That's the dent.
Yeah.
And that's what it's supposed to look like.
Cool, so everything's in place here, which is nice. So why I can't put that back on yet is because there's this bolt that's got to go through. So I need to wait till I get this piece in that I'm working on right now back together and then in, and then I can bolt that through. So I don't have a press or the special tools for this. So I took a bar. This is just a square tube, and I drilled 3 holes, 1 in the center and 2 on the sides. And now I take these, now we come over yonder. Okay, so this is just like a standard puller. And I just have one little chintzy doodad there. And then I have another bar, and I just set it there. Tighten this on down. Till it touches. It works, I promise. There we go.
Okay. So that threader just pushed.
Yeah, so this is just like a universal puller. And I just put a bar into here, and then I'm compressing that backwards. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put the snap ring in to hold it back there.
Dennis says we only got 4/10 of an inch of a rain.
Oh shit, if it actually rains, we're fucked. Take a look. Take a look around, folks.
You can't see too much yet.
Devastation.
I'll pan. Now that is a clean garage. Lance said it looks like we're in Fast and the Furious. Everything is cleaned up. Now let's just pray it can stay like this. And this will be our dump run today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as you can see, the motor is coming back together, which means the next video is going to be the motor coming back together. And then the one after that is going to be us putting in the van and ripping in a new one to test it out. So if you like this content, make sure to subscribe, to like, to comment what you think, and we'll see you on the next one.